On September 29, 2014, California turned Bill SB 967 into a law. This law is called Yes Means Yes.
Yes Means Yes is affirmative consent that states the person who initiates sexual contact must receive a verbal or written consent from the other person before engaging in any sexual activity.
Me and Amy went around campus and interviewed people.
And this is what they said.
About the bill that was passed in California called Yes Means Yes.
No, I don't even know what that is.
So it's basically a bill that states that if you're like about to have sex with someone else, you have to have written consent, like saying like, yes, I give consent to have sex with this person.
I didn't know they passed that.
Yeah.
Do that?
Yeah.
Like any school?
I don't think it will help because personally, like teens, like it's just kind of like they make their own decisions. Like if you're gonna do it, then you're gonna do it. Like you know what you're putting yourself into. But I don't think it would help with like the sexual assault and that, because I mean when you're gonna get raped, like they're not gonna ask you to sign a paper. They're just gonna do it. Like,
Okay.
Okay, so if you saw someone at a party and they were like obviously drunk and some guy was about to take them upstairs and they didn't know what's going on and they were going to take advantage of them, would you just stand there and watch, or would you step in and help?
I mean, I would first talk to the girl and tell her if she knows what she's doing, and if she's sure like she knows what she's doing, then let her go. Because like personally, like I don't think that anybody else is like anyone to be telling her like what to do. Like it's her decision at the end. Like she's gonna have to pay for the consequences herself.
I think I would just give like a warning, like, do you know what you're doing? Like, just like how you see on the streets, like if somebody looks suspicious, like while let's say you're at a gas station, like somebody like rolls around you like twice, like I don't know, it's just like things like how she said, like you shouldn't, you don't have the right to tell somebody what to do, but like a fair warning would be nice to let them know.
What if you saw like the guy like nagging her and like bringing her like to a room, and you didn't really know who she was? Would you still say something, or would you only like say it to your friends?
I think that I would like talk to the guy and like let him know that he could get in trouble for what he's gonna do, because honestly she's like in drugs or like, you know, like drunk, and she doesn't know what she's doing, like she's not fully there. So obviously like speak to the guy first and like let him know, like, you know that what you're doing is not right, and if something happens you're gonna have to face the consequences. And then probably just talk to the girl and try to like convince her like not to go with him.
See, that's why that law is being passed, because they want to make sure it's a sure yes that they're okay with them having
sex. Like that makes sense too, but like when you get raped, like they're not gonna pull out a paper and make you sign it, like, or like what if you don't have that paper? So like let's say like you just meet a guy and then like you want to do it, like you have to like, where do you like print it out, or what do you do?
I mean it makes sense, like how she says, like whoever, like the rapist is gonna be like, oh wait, can you sign this waiver saying I'm gonna rape you, like right now? Like it's like there's pros and cons to it, like
because also
oh no, go ahead.
Because also like what if like they like how do you say, like they force you to sign it, like they, how do you say it,
like just like
forge.
Yeah, they forge your signature, and it's like that's gonna let a lot of like rape victims get away, because they're like, oh, she signed it, and the girl's gonna be like half drunk, more than half drunk, and she's not gonna remember anything. So if you think about it, it's like bad too, because like he could say, oh, she signed it. Like you never know, they could be pointing a gun to her head, like sign it. Like nobody knows, it's only them two at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like gonna be mostly like his word over hers, because she's gonna be half drunk, and like the authorities gonna be like, oh well, you know, like you were drunk, like. So I don't think like that's like pretty much letting like the rape victims get away with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's a bill passed in California for colleges and universities about sexual consent.
I heard about it. Yeah. It was like it was gonna put down that affirmative consent was needed, or I don't think so. No.
Why?
Well, like, I don't think they're at more risk now because I guess that would just be a mindset thing, you know? Like, the people who would be, like, having these actions. I'm not, actually sure. That's kind of a tough question. But I don't think that, like, more guys are going to be accused of rape now because there's affirmative consent needed. No, because, like, that would require, like investigations into each sexual act, and I don't think that's really, like, feasible.
So you don't think it's beneficial to, like, the school and stuff like that?
To the school, I don't know. I think the bill is, like, a good, it's a good idea, but I just don't know how they're going to enforce it. So, but putting out that issue there of affirmative consent and, like, making it more like a public thing and really stressing the whole yes means yes thing is a good thing. So maybe, like, that's a side effect of it. But I don't think that the bill itself is really going to be enforced enough to.
So do you know about the bill passed in California called Yes Means Yes? So it's basically a bill, like, saying that you give, written consent to have sex with someone else. And they're passing it so they could stop, like, rape situations on college campuses.
Do you think this law would be beneficial for others, or do you think it would not really do much because it's, like, hard to tell if someone actually says yes and they mean it when they're
right? So is it only in effect if there's written consent of it?
Mm-hmm. And they have to say yes, and it has to be ongoing during the.
I think it'll help in, like, convicting, but and only if there's a written. Only if there's, like, a written, if there's written proof of it, but if not, it's all going to be hearsay, and I think it'll make it more complicated. It'll make it more complicated for the real rape victim to be, for justice to be served, I guess, like, if it really did happen.
Do you think this act will be equal for both guys and girls, or do you think they'll target guys more than girls for this particular
I think it should be equal, but I don't know.
Because there are many times where a girl kind of, like, she wakes up the next morning and she's like, that's not what I wanted to do.
Right.
And basically it's the guy's fault if he wasn't that drunk.
I think it should be equal, but it probably won't be.
If you were at a party and you saw someone that you didn't know, like, being dragged into a room with, like, a guy, would you say something? Or if she wasn't your friend, would you just, like...
No, I most definitely would. I cannot stand when there's something wrong going on. And even if it's none of my business, I would definitely. Just personally.
Do you think this is going to benefit this campus later on with, like, situations on rape, like actually having consent and stuff like that?
I think it would if there's, like, a serious offense and just determining whether or not there was written consent. If there was, I mean, I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do if you're claiming rape. But if not, then it won't really.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know that California passed a bill saying that before having any type of sexual activity with another student, you need some sort of written consent?
I've been aware that it's been in the passing stages in terms of, like, in Congress, but I didn't know that we actually passed it in California.
Oh, so it's...
I know it
has
is,
been
though.
passed, yeah.
It's been passed. Okay.
So what do you think about it?
You know, the thing is about this bill is that even though, like, they're trying to ask for students to be consensual in their decisions on sexual activity, if somebody were to try to actually take any of those claims to court on a consensual basis, there would be no real evidence to show if they had to prove it while I agree that like we should have measures to prevent rape and sexual, for lack of better terms, distrustful sexual activity. I don't know, that's a bad way to describe it. There's really no way in a court to in my opinion, to actually prove anything that actually happens with this law. So I think like they had a good intent, and I think the heart was there, but I think this bill is kind of flawed, or this law is kind of flawed in that it would be hard to prove in court of any consensual basis of any type of sexual activity, unless it was written or had any physical proof. And so I think this could lead into some possible corrupt activity with couples that may involve just more problems for either a girl or a guy in the future.
So do you think this is going to change like the safety of students on campus or even off campus?
I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is I think more people are just going to be more secretive about what's going on. I don't think, and even if they did, again, even if they did go into court, they would have no real proof of proving anything regardless. And so will it change activity? I don't think so. I think people our age are still going to be experimenting. They're still going to be young, and they're probably not going to be willing to accept the consequences even if something does happen. So that's just my opinion on that.
So 1 in 4 women report sexual assault during their 4 years in college.
Mm-hmm.
Now that this bill is passed, do you think the statistics are going to get lower?
Maybe. That's really hard to say because it's statistics. But I think it might stay the same personally but in terms of people reporting more, that's hard to really say. I don't know for sure whether the statistics will rise or go down because I wouldn't be able to predict how we as individuals of 20 years old, as students, would predict in such a manner because the more generations, future generations that come about, the more like that will change whether for it to be a lower statistic or higher. You don't know.
Okay. Do you think that this bill targets men more than women? Because when you hear about the story of someone getting raped, you always think that like it's the guy's fault.
That is really hard to say. I mean, I don't think it's. I think some people could say it's targeting men, but for me personally, that's really hard to really answer because I don't know. Like, it really depends on the type of guy you are, I guess, to really answer that. But for me, I don't know. I don't think they're. I don't think it's necessarily targeting men in general. But I think men are. I guess you could say men are more inclined to be risk at that though, because of the social stigma of men always initiating sex. So I can't. It's really hard to answer that one. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
No worries.
Did you know that there is a bill passed called Yes Means Yes in colleges and universities? For a college student, you have to have a written form of consent with your sexual partner.
Oh, I did know that.
You did?
I did know that.
Okay. And you have to say yes, and you have to keep it ongoing during the whole entire...
So what do you think about that?
I think that's a little too much, like a written statement to say that, like, I want to have sex with you. I think that's a little extreme. I can see why it would get passed, but I think it's a little extreme.
So you don't think it will be beneficial to this campus to stop sexual assault and rape?
I don't think it's going to be beneficial.
You think it's going to make it worse?
I don't think it's going to make it worse. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, honestly.
Why?
I don't think that people are going to, like, take it seriously. I don't think there's, like, a way to make sure that happens. You know, I don't think there's, like, who's going to be there to make sure that you sign this, you know, or that to make sure you guys actually had sex if you didn't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's going to make a difference at all.
Do you think that this act is both equal to guys and girls, or do you believe that guys get more targeted when it comes to rape and consent?
I think I guess it's more targeted towards guys, because when you think about rape, you think like a guy raped someone, whether they raped a male or a female. You know, you don't really think about girls being like a predator.
So it's probably gonna make things worse then, right? A little.
How that make it worse?
For guys, because girls could also say, "Oh, I didn't give them a full yes," or "I didn't mean it," or blah 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 blah.
I mean,
and then boom, they get charged.
If they don't, if they don't mean it, I didn't mean it. Like you signed it, or you know, or if you didn't sign it. I don't know. I mean, I guess that would make it taken seriously as it should be. I did say it was going to be harder on guys to begin with.
If you were at a party and you saw a guy and a girl and she was like really drunk and he was kind of like leading her to like have sex, would you say something even though you didn't know her?
As much as I would want to say yes, I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't do anything. I don't know. I wouldn't get involved. I mean, I probably should, but I probably wouldn't.
Do you think it's different with people that you do know and don't know?
Definitely. There's definitely, like, if it's like my friend, then, you know, we're going to be there together. And it's easier because I have that relationship built already. But it's harder when you don't know someone, because what if I go up to some girl and I'm just like, hey, it doesn't look like this is like a safe environment. Like, what, you know, do you know this guy? And then I get like cussed out.
Yeah.
Then I'm just gonna look like an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, what if she's not actually drunk? She's just like what if she's actually just like the, you know, high on life? Then I'm just gonna be like, oh, sorry, like thought you were drunk. Oops.
But what if it was like clear that the person couldn't even like walk?
I don't know. I don't know. I've never been in that situation before.
Never?
No, never.
That's good.
So I don't know. I can only think about what I hope I would do. I hope that someone would help her. I would try to find like her friends or something, or like who she came with to help her out. I don't know that I would like step in, like, you know, stop, you can't take her.
And I think that's like a big problem with this whole.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
That's why they're trying to make sure it's a actual yes.
Passed a bill saying that before having any type of sexual activity with another student, you need some sort of written consent.
Presentation, so I found out about it like this summer.
So what's your opinion on it? Sexual assault during their 4 years of college. Statistically, do you think that this bill being passed, it's going to change anything? Change that statistic?
No, because it's like saying that you should get like consent, you know, before you have sex, but people who rape people never ask for consent anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, oh my god, like now all the rapists are totally like gonna not be rapists, because it makes no sense how that would like change the statistic.
Are you sexually active?
Yeah.
So if you were at a party and let's say you were semi-drunk and so was your partner, well, the person, like let's say you were flirting with someone, let's say, well, you guys end up at his apartment, would you ask for him to sign a piece of paper before you guys have sex?
If I had just met him, like, my mom's an attorney, so after passing this law, if I had just met him, hell yeah, I would. But if it was, like, my boyfriend or something, I feel like, why? I mean, I'm sure by this point we've had sex, like, multiple times without it. Like, I don't see why, like, if it was a boyfriend, I would have to.
Men more than women, because in the eye of the public or of the people, we see men more as rapists.
Yeah, I feel like this is just like another way to kind of like screw guys over in the sense of false rape accusations, because I think all rape accusations obviously should be taken seriously, but like after like further investigation, if you find out it's a false accusation, I feel like this is just another way to kind of spin it so where the girl always comes out on the end.
So do you think that girls are gonna start using this bill as a like excuse to like oh, I had sex with this person last night, but it was like a total mistake? Do you think that just because they didn't have that written consent, they're gonna say it was rape?
I think girls will say he didn't ask me for like a written consent, so you know he raped me. I feel like that's where the law is flawed because it says that the person who initiates sex. So if it's the guy initiates sex is the one who's supposed to ask for the consent. Well, also at the same time it should be the flip way. You should also ask the person who's initiating it. Just because they're initiating it doesn't mean they necessarily want to continue with it.
So do you think this bill is gonna help out our school? Do you think it's gonna make it safer? Do you think people are gonna think that they're safer because of this?
No, because I feel like a lot of things get outlawed and people still do them. Like smoking weed is illegal, but people still do that. Like, I don't feel safer because it's illegal. People will still drive high and can hit me. It's the same. I feel like I equate it to be the same just because.
So now that you've seen the perspective of college students and their opinion on this law,
Please comment what you think about it or your views on this topic
below.
Thank you.
Thank you.